Good morning. We're
Good
early today.
morning. We are.
I'm
Although
like,
this is usually the time I take my kids to school, but it feels early when you're out of town.
yeah, of course I'm normally awake at this time. It's just it's different to be going live on everywhere. We are on Facebook, we are
On
on
every,
LinkedIn, we're on YouTube for the whole world to see us. So
well, and
LinkedIn
today's a really
you
special
also.
show.
Yes, it is
I was going to
special.
say today's a really special show because we are going to reintroduce ourselves. So if you're watching us for the first time, stick around. This is going to be fun.
Because we're so fun.
I mean, I
So
think I'm fun, but so
everybody
I'm in
thinks we're
I'm in a
fun.
hotel room. I'm in a hotel room and I'm using my phone connectivity there. So hopefully any disruptions are minimal. If there are disruptions, then I'm just gonna say it's me because we used to blame mountain Wi-Fi. And now I'm in the heart of Fort Lauderdale, Florida today, and came down here to do some shoots. So if we can't blame the mountain Wi-Fi, I don't know what to blame it on now.
So, well, um, hotels are also probably not the greatest place for connectivity, but we get through. It's all good. And
One of these days,
so,
I'm gonna go plug myself directly into a cell tower, and then that way, it'll be perfect forever.
oh, so tell the world, who is Graciela Laurent? She sounds very
Gracias.
exotic.
Yeah, just fabulous. That's all you need to know. Actually, it's really been interesting because, I moved up to Murphy, North Carolina in June of last year, and it's really been such a different place compared to being born and raised here in South Florida that I really have been kind of not quite redefining myself, but refining, if that makes sense, myself, really
Mhm.
figuring out what pieces are me because I love this part of me and what pieces were me because, I was just, going through it. So it's been really interesting. But at its core, I am a helper. I am the type of person that likes to create space for other people and help them move along their path. My even in high school, I wanted to be like this time life photographer. Let me equate that for the millennials, National Geographic style photographer. I don't think Time Life exists like that anymore. They don't call it that
Oh,
anymore. Um,
no.
so yeah, I mean, I have always been really intrigued by the human condition, what makes us be the way that we are. And if I wasn't going to be a photographer, I might have been like a therapist or a social worker or something in a helping field like that. What I actually ended up doing was getting my bachelor's degree in English education. It married the two things that I really loved, reading and being with people. And it was such a privilege to be able to talk to 200 people a day and really just affect their lives. I never took it for granted that how I showed up made a difference in someone's life. If I was going to show up miserable and upset and tired or bring my problems from the outside into the classroom, it was going to affect kids because I was affected. And then I also remember it was always the English teachers for me that impacted me going into, my grown-up life. And so it felt really good to be able to try and be that teacher that made an impact. I very much believe that sometimes it's just one sentence or a phrase or a concept. It just takes one to really make a difference in someone's life. And I think that's why I'm so obsessed with reading, because I think each time you read a book, there's a gem. It might not be all 300 pages, might not be great, but there's always a little something in there that makes a difference in your life. So I'm if you want to know about me, know that I probably own over 3,000 books just in piles all over my house. And I love them so much. After that, I fell into the legal field. I spent about 20 years as a legal assistant, and that was also really based in helping people. We served clients who had been involved in injury, in accident, really catastrophic accidents and injuries and things like that. And, even though it's been maybe 15 years since I was in that field, I still think about those clients. Like, I still think about them. I think about their families. Some of them I'm still in touch with because it's part of our evolution as human beings. And then somewhere in the middle of all that, I got pregnant with my twins. And that's when I purchased a digital camera. I thought, okay, it's time to leave film and step into the digital age. And that was right at the beginning of Facebook and social media marketing. And I thought, what was I doing before I got here? How did I get here? Didn't I want to be a photographer when I was like 15? So somewhere at about 36 or so, I decided, okay, I'm going to pay attention to my inner calling and I'm going to be a photographer. And so for probably about the last almost 15 years, I have been a portrait photographer. I always say I take pictures of who you are and not what you look like. I specialize in boudoir. I specialize in personal branding, but really I specialize in the human condition. I always tell people, like, yes, my equipment is the better set of equipment that you could get, for this level of photography, meaning like not commercial, not editorial types, just my not just, but my level of photography. And it's really great. And honestly, I could teach anybody how to set up a light and how to shoot, push the button and how to manage all the buttons on the camera. But that's not where the magic is. The magic is in the relationship with the client. The magic is in listening to what the client wants and how they want to feel and doing my best to create the space for them to feel that. And that's the exciting part. It's not the math, I'm a lover, not a fighter. I'm not a math person and I'm not a science person. So photography, it turns out it's all angles and ratios. And I was like, I thought it was just like fun and love. But once you nail down the math and the science, then yes, it can be about all the love and all the beautiful things. And actually, I'm here in Fort Lauderdale because I had clients that wanted me to come down and shoot with them. So I have done a ton of shoots since I've been here. I don't know if you can tell how tired I am here, but it has been really, really nice to reconnect with the people and really just see how their stories have evolved over the years. I have one particular client I've been shooting for several years, and just to see her evolve and level up and just all the, I love all that. So the real exciting part of who I am now is the layering in of all our Body and Soul Ministries offerings. So spirituality, philosophical conversations, diving deep, like those are things that I've always loved. But a couple of years ago, I discovered Cacao, and Cacao was really the catalyst to where I am today with you, with Body and Soul. And so because of that, one thing led to another, and I enjoy doing the cacao ceremonies. I enjoy teaching from a very, very basic level. Like, what is cacao anyway? That's my favorite class, because we get to go back to the beginning and demystify all of these things. I always felt uncomfortable when I would attend some sort of ceremony with a friend, be it a church service in a different church or a ceremony, in the middle of nowhere type of a thing. And I always felt uncomfortable not knowing what was going to happen, what's going to be, is there something I need to be afraid of, And so I really enjoy saying, okay, this is where we're going to start. I'm going to take you right back to the beginning. Before we do anything fancy, we're going to start with the basics. So that tenet is really important to me, because to me, it's all about creating that safe space. So cacao ceremonies and cacao and cards, pulling the little oracle cards. We had one the other day and it was amazing. Within 15 minutes, people were crying, having these realizations. And they were like, wow, the answer's always been in me. The answer's always been in front of me. I love that. And then in that, in all of this, I ended up getting a sound healing certification. So I learned all about all the frequencies and vibrations and tones. And so I do the gong and singing bowls and shamanic drumming and things like that. The guided forest therapy is something else I'm obsessed with. It's a very specific way of walking intentionally through the forest, finding your answers there, which are really within yourself, but sometimes we need a little portal to look through. And each of those modalities at the end of the day serve the same purpose as when I used to teach high school. It's to create the space for people to evolve, and to feel safe and to feel like, okay, I have some things I want to say and get off my chest. So yeah, I know that was a bit long, but I really wanted to share my story, share how I got here. Why is it such a weird combination of photography and cacao and the forest? How does that work? But what it allows me to do is, number one, be really authentic to myself, follow my own passions. And because I'm living so authentically, then I can create the space for you to live authentically. And that to me only levels everything else up. So I'm really excited about where I am in my life. I love living in Murphy, North Carolina. It is 20 minutes from the Georgia and Tennessee borders. We're the westernmost state. It's the cutest town on the planet. And I have to tell you one funny thing, though, coming here to this trip. First of all, I forgot what humidity was. And when I walked out of the airport, the humidity went and it hit me in the face. And then my hair went and it grew 5 sizes. And then last night I was out to dinner and I got bitten by a mosquito. And I'm like, okay, old friend, here's Florida. Like, the humidity and the mosquitoes. I love you so much.
Yeah, I used to always say when I would arrive in Florida from Wisconsin, like the air is so thick you actually drink it, you don't breathe it.
Absolutely. Last night we went to a restaurant for dinner. It was like indoor, outdoor, and it got to the point that I literally couldn't breathe. Like I was like, I really feel like I'm choking. Can we find air conditioning? Like I gotta go. And I never noticed that before because I've lived here my whole entire life. Right. So yeah, I think I'm officially a mountain girl convert. For sure. So thank you for letting me share that. I appreciate it.
I do just have one question, because you were talking briefly about it at the beginning, but I'm curious, is there one thing that you've discovered about yourself since you left South Florida? Like something new that was like, oh, this is me, but you couldn't find it because you were here?
For sure. Probably the most impactful realization I've had is that let's say I started this process before I left, but living in the mountains nailed it for me, which is I never have to be in a hurry. Never. There is not one thing in life that requires my anxiety or that feeling of not enough, that feeling of like, I got to run and hurry up. And what's going to happen? And what's the next thing? Like that constant overthinking. What time is it? I got to go. I got to go. That feeling, I no longer allow that in my life. And so it has created so much peace for me. And I have to really thank, honestly, the mountain roads. Like, when you're driving in those curvy mountain roads, you can't be on your phone. You can't be thinking about anything else. You'll die. Like literally, it's not that you're going to get a ticket. It's that you're just going to die because the roads are so curvy and so crazy. And I'm so grateful for those roads because even the time that I spend in the car with my children is more focused. That's our talk time as, mom and kids. And so everything is just in its time. And that, watching the seasons change ever so slowly, from Florida, seasons don't really change. You're busy all year round. There is no rest time. There is no hibernation time. They're completely different. I've been in each season, but I had never been there for the transition of the seasons. And so even the transition of the seasons is slow. And it's, they always say nature is never in a hurry, but yet everything gets done. And it really, really has been such a beautiful lesson. So that's probably my biggest takeaway is that I don't need to worry about anything because in its time, everything happens perfectly. And so I'm really grateful for that. Good question.
Beautiful. Well, we're so happy to have you for a few days here in South Florida.
And I'm excited. I've had a few old fashions, I don't have cacao though. That's my one drawback of.
I will say after doing the show last week without cacao, I don't know if I will ever allow that to happen. Like I was just really missing it.
I used to travel with it, but I had to bring so much equipment. I was like, I cannot carry cacao on top of all of this. Like, I'll just carry the spirit with me.
Although we could have, if you had actually wanted it, I could have brought you a care package of it. But we'll put that on next time if you want it.
Well, so, tell the world about Julietta. I can't wait to hear this story.
Well, especially since I know we've got limited time here because you got to get to your next photo shoot. And I do also want to say, you were talking about this at the very beginning. No, you don't carry the label of, psychologist or therapist or whatever. But as someone who's been through multiple photo shoots with you, that experience is one of the most healing. Like, never would I have thought that going through a photo shoot would be a healing experience, but with Graciela, it truly is. And if you haven't had that experience yet, I can't recommend it enough. Well, no, I'm joking. So I'm Julietta, and it's interesting, like as you were describing your life and the transitions of your life, I'm like, yeah, wow, like how things have changed. And I grew up in Wisconsin, and in high school was the first time I said, oh, I'm going to be a physical therapist. And like at that moment, even not realizing like how difficult of a statement that is, because, back then, so I attended the University of Wisconsin-Madison. And when I submitted my application to physical therapy school, I think approximately 4,000 students submitted for 60 slots. And so, yeah, only 60 students got in every year. And, back then they would say it was harder to get into physical therapy school than to get into med school just because of the numbers. And so because of knowing that my likelihood of getting in was very small, I had all different, I was going to be a flight attendant so I could travel the world. I would, like all these other ideas. What am I going to do if I don't get into physical therapy school? And I got in. So all those other plans just went aside. And, I really entered it just because I wanted to help people. And I was a sciencey, mathy girl. Like I was the girl that got A's in math and science, which is part of the reason I went down the physical therapy route. I didn't want to be a doctor because I didn't want to go to school forever. And now knowing what I know about the medical field, I'm like very glad that I didn't go down that path. But most of my career, I've had to try and take what I was doing as a healer and make it sound like it was physical therapy. I mean, some of the stuff that I would make up to tell people about what I was doing when it was not anything scientific or mathematical, but people loved it because they were getting better. I mean, I remember as an early therapist, people would ask to be on my schedule. And I'd be like, do they not know? Like all these other therapists, these 50 other PTs that work with me all have way more years experience than what I did, but people wanted to be on my schedule. And like over the years, I was discovering like, oh, I'm working with energy. Like, and when people go, do you work with energy? I'm like, everybody's working with energy. It's just, are you doing it intentionally or not? And even you, Graciela, in your photography, you're working with energy. Sure. And so, my career went, I was married to a Venezuelan. We spent 7 years in Wisconsin, and he was like, if I have to spend one more winter here, I think I'm going to kill myself. So, we ended up down here in Miami. And, and now in hindsight, I understand, like, I had to be here to allow this evolution that has happened and to connect me to the right people that would help me on this more spiritual path that I've been on. And, so over the years, I've worked for other people. I worked for myself. I co-owned 2 PT clinics with another therapist down here. And like, it literally had nothing to do with the pandemic. And sometimes I wonder too, all the transitions that people made during the pandemic, was it the pandemic or would it have happened anyway? Just because I feel like cosmically, energetically, that was a transition point for many people. And so in 2020, I left my practice and went to work solo. And even I thought like that was like my landing spot, then only to have it hit me, oh, I need to do this. Well, originally it was going to be a private membership association that a friend of mine had told me about. And it was so funny because just as the idea had hit my head, she was coming down here. She lives in South Dakota, but her brother lives in Fort Myers. And so once or twice a year, she comes down to visit him, but she flies into Fort Lauderdale so she can come see me for an appointment and then head over there. And so I was like, oh, this hit me. So perfect. She's coming. I will talk to her about it. And when she gets here, she goes, so you can either form a private membership association or you can form a church. And I was like, okay. She gave me the number of who to get in contact with. And after talking with them, I'm like, yes, universe, I get it. I'm creating Body and Soul Ministries. And so here we are. And even though, again, when I started it, it was really about me doing my healing work with people. And the more I'm in it, and as each day passes, I understand it is so much more than my healing practice. And so several weeks ago, as I recently left a business networking group that I was involved with for 8 years, and really recognizing that I need to reach out and connect with people differently. And so I was like, I need a new business card with something that says more than healer, because healer's not enough. And so I started with healer. And then I was like, yes, most of the time I describe myself as a guide, because as a healer, I'm never actually healing anyone. The only one that can heal you is you. And I'm just guiding you on your healing journey and showing you where to look and where to place your attention to move forward in your healing journey. But I'm also very much there's the power of 3. So like healer and guide wasn't enough. There had to be a third word. And what was that third word? And as I was sitting there, I was thinking about, something that just is in my mind all the time is this vision of the world that I see that's possible. And I've always held that vision of a place where love and joy and peace abound. And that doesn't mean that there will never be anything sad or difficult or, because people die, people get hurt, people get sick, things happen, things break, things fall apart. Like, so it's not like this utopia that there's never anything wrong, but we don't create wars. People aren't going hungry. People, like people's needs are met. I don't know. It's just we respect the planet, and, so there's no pollution, and, I could go on, but I've had this vision forever. And, there was a long time where I was like, there's no way the humans are ever going to get there. Like, it's just not possible. And I would say it started before the pandemic, but especially since the pandemic. Like, I just know in my being that it is actually possible in my lifetime to achieve that. And so I was just thinking about my vision, and how the healing work that I do with each individual and the healing work that I do with each group is taking steps towards that vision. And because the word vision kept coming, it was like playing over and over in my mind. And I was like, that's my word, visionary. And when I thought it, I was like, no, that's a ridiculously, like, that word is too huge for me to step into. And then as soon as I said that, I was like, and that's exactly why I have to pick that word, because it is bigger. It's a huge, huge, huge stretch for me to claim that word. And so I claim it and I'm on that path. And so, yes, I still do my private healing sessions with people. And even more important that is, like I had our chakra balancing group last night. It was so beautiful and amazing. And, watching the shift in this group of people that I had and understanding that it's not just me, it's all of them working together that is creating this healing process that's taking us a step forward towards the vision. Our retreats that we do, each woman that has a transition in her personal life, that ripples out into the collective. And sometimes I look at it and it seems huge what we have to do, and are we capable of doing it? And then other times I look at it and I'm like, we got this, girl. So I think that's pretty much the best summary that I can get out in the time that we have. And this podcast is part of the journey, and sometimes we're sitting here just talking about whatever, but most of the time we're diving deep into stuff that is contributing to the shift in the world. And so if you're listening to this podcast and you hear something that makes you think, that opens your eyes, that opens your heart, please share it with other people, because we really want to get this out there to everyone. And I also want to say thank you so much, Graciela, for stepping up and being a co-founder of the ministry, because you can't create a church by yourself. You have to have co-founders. And so thank you to you, and thank you to Trent, who I'm sure never listens to the show, but he is the other co-founder of the ministry. And I'm just so excited about everything that we are creating and are going to create, and all the lives that we're going to touch, and the
That we are
world,
touching.
yes,
Yeah.
and the beautiful world that we are creating. So,
and before you move on from yourself, I just want to take a second to add one more word to the description of who is Julietta. It is the most popular word in Fort Lauderdale for Julietta, which is magical. When we can't quite explain what is happening, magic is such a great catch-all phrase. And so, even with my photography, I tell people, plan for your photo shoot and then leave room for a little magic. Like, just leave room for the unexplained. And I think that, when you used to carry that label of physical therapist, it was so limiting, and it didn't really explain to people why you should go see my friend Julietta. And so all of us really stopped describing you as a physical therapist. I mean, I don't know how other people do it, but I always say, yeah, she's a physical therapist, but right. And I would roll my eyes like, that's just like the label. You have to understand that Julietta is magical. And as we find better words for that, maybe we'll come up with it. But I love the 3 words that you picked, and I can't let you leave without the label of magical, because there is so much of what you do that it's just healing. It just makes you feel good. And we are so, so, so grateful for you, because every single day of your life, you change lives, which is amazing. What a gift that we get to be to do that. So
it is a gift. And I don't take it lightly that I feel so blessed that every day I get to follow my passion. And because I know a lot of people out there, they just go and they work every day. And the truth is, if I didn't need money to put the roof over my head and food in my belly and, to be able to drive my car, I would do what I'm doing for free, because it brings me so much joy. I love what I do. And I still got to pay the bills. So you have to pay me for my services, but it's worth it. I promise.
Eddie Vedder, I went to a Eddie Vedder concert when he was touring solo, and he said, you know, he got a standing ovation, and he's like, guys, he's like, what I'm doing right here, I would do this for free. He goes, I only have to charge you because I have to be away from my family, and I have to be away from, you know, my life and all the logistics that comes with that. He goes, but I would do this all day long, absolutely for free. Like this is what I would love to do. So same here. I am just so excited of everything that we're doing, everything that's coming. Stay tuned, pay attention to all of our events because they're each magical in a different way. And don't let the woo-woo words scare you. If the word magical seems ridiculous to you, don't worry. We've got all the sciencey stuff to back it all up. So we can speak in whatever language works for you. But I'm really excited for this future. And I want to end on one note on authenticity, because I think that is my big mission for this lifetime, is peeling the layers that have kind of clung to me over the years and really discovering what is my authentic self. How can I understand and create the life that I'm living as the vision that's in my head? And I've had a lot of success with that over the last couple of years. And it's really exciting to see that if you can dream it, you can be it. If you can, you know, draw it, you can have it. You really, really can. I really believe that with all my heart. And so I'm understand that when you have an intention in your heart, it puts out a vibration into the world. And the other day I heard, what do you think is the highest vibrating emotion or state of being that vibrates out of your body the strongest? And of course, we all want to say love because we think love is the highest of all of the states of being, but it's actually authenticity. Authenticity reverberates from your body stronger than even love. And if that's not a fascinating key to how to be happy, it's doing what you love and loving what you do all day, every day. And if you're not, make a change. Really,
I will say that I always say, if you are not able to love yourself fully, completely, it is because you are not fully authentically yourself. Yeah. And so once you peel away everything that isn't you, you will love yourself. And so authenticity and love, to me, authenticity is a form of love. So
sure,
maybe it's the highest form of love.
Absolutely. So I'm super grateful for all the teachers that we have had, you know, to get us where we are today. My journey has been multi-layered. If you want to hear more about that, you can come hang out with me and I'll tell you all about it. But I love where we are today and I love what we're doing. And I really do love everyone that listens to this show. We're so grateful for you. We see the views, we see the comments, we see the reviews. Some of you send private text messages. We see those as well. And we're super grateful and we're here to serve. So if you have any special requests or anything you need to know, we have a way for you to participate and to be part of the family that fits your life as well. Even if it's hectic and crazy and all the things, because we've been there. So thank you guys so much for listening. We are super grateful for you.
Yeah, thank you to those who, because we did have live listeners. So, you know, normally we go in at 9 instead of at 7:30. So thank you for everyone who showed up early to check us out this morning. And, you know, if you want to know how else you can spend time with Graciela and I, check out our website. There's tons of events and retreats and all the good stuff coming up. And there is also a webinar for people that are not local to either of us coming up soon, our vision board. We've done it. This will be our third time doing it because it's so popular. So come check out and find out why it's so popular. And with that, I think it's a wrap. You got to go do a photo shoot. So I'm going to wish everybody a magical day.
Bye.